Celebrities aren't exempt from obeying the law, and they undoubtedly run the risk of going to jail for misbehaving. A number of celebrities have been found guilty of crimes in the recent years and received lengthy prison sentences as a result. In fact, many of those celebrities are still in prison and will continue to do so for years. Here are 9 celebrities who are currently serving time in prison. Number 1. Julie and Todd Krisle. Julie and Todd Krisle were convicted guilty of many federal offenses in 2022. They were accused of cheating banks by getting millions in loans based on unauthorized financial statements. The Krisle Knows Best stars were charged with bank fraud and tax evasion and were placed on house arrest. A few months later, they were given their sentences. Todd was given 12 years in prison and Julie was given 7. The couple began their time in prison in 2023 and since then have had their release date moved up. Todd had his prison release moved up to January 22, 2033, 2 years earlier than his originally scheduled 2035 release, while Julie is due out October 19, 2028, a year and 3 months earlier than her initial release date. Number 2. Harvey Weinstein. Harvey Weinstein, a disgraced producer, is currently jailed for years of assaulting multiple women in Hollywood. Numerous women have come forward since the initial allegations against Harvey were made, including stars like Rose McGowan, Mira Sorvino, and Salma Hayek. These victims claim that they were harassed with everything from intimidating sexual advances to rape, and threats against their careers if they did not comply. Harvey was detained in 2018, and his case was finally carried out in 2020. He was charged with third-degree rape and a first-degree criminal sexual act after a lengthy investigation, and he received a 23-year prison term. The following year, he was extradited to Los Angeles, where he faced charges from a woman who accused him of assaulting her at a film festival in 2013. He was convicted of 1 count of rape and 2 counts of sexual assault and was sentenced to an additional 16 years. Number 3. Tory Lanez. Rapper Tory Lanez shot Megan Thee Stallion in Hollywood in 2020 as they were leaving a party. The two had been having a close relationship at the time, so when Megan decided she didn't want to go home with Tory, a fight broke out. As Megan attempted to walk away, she was shot in the foot by Tory. Over the next few months, social media took sides, with many accusing Megan of lying. In 2022, when the case finally went to trial, Megan emotionally remembered what had happened that evening. Tory was found guilty of 3 felony charges: assault with a semi-automatic handgun, having a loaded and unregistered firearm in a vehicle, and gross negligence in discharging his firearm. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. Number 4. Jen Shah. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City star Jen Shah is currently serving time for her role in a nationwide telemarketing scheme, which victimized many elderly and working-class people. After she was arrested in 2021, a Homeland Security's press release revealed that she had defrauded hundreds of people by selling lead lists for fictitious business opportunities. During her trial in March 2022, Jen pled guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to commit wire fraud, and she was sentenced to 6.5 years behind bars. She was also ordered to forfeit $6,500,000, 30 luxury items, and 78 counterfeit luxury items, as well as pay $645,251 in restitution. Number 5. R. Kelly. R. Kelly was detained in 2019 on a number of federal allegations, including sex trafficking and child pornography, stemming from his relationship with 5 minors in the 1990s. The musician had previously been acquitted of child pornography charges in 2008, but the accusations against him resurfaced after alleged victims spoke out in miniseries surviving R. Kelly. In the new allegations, R. Kelly is accused of meeting the 5 children when they were between the ages of 12 and 17, and 4 of those girls were depicted engaging in sexual acts with him. R. Kelly was found guilty on 9 charges of sex trafficking and racketeering in New York when the case went to trial. In a separate trial in Chicago, he was also convicted of child pornography and enticing a minor for sex. In total, he is serving 31 years behind bars. Number 6. Emmylou Harris. Emmylou Harris, a star of Melrose Place, was convicted of a fatal DUI in 2010 and is currently serving a second sentence, stemming from an accident where she crashed into another car while under the influence. Emmy was first sentenced to 3 years in jail for vehicular assault and homicide before getting released in 2015. The following year, her sentencing was re-reviewed due to what the court felt was an inadequate explanation for leniency. After years of legal battles over Emmy's potential return to jail, she was ultimately sentenced to an additional 8 years in New Jersey State Prison after a judge agreed with prosecutors that her initial sentence was too lenient. Number 7. Josh Duggar. Josh Duggar, a former star of 19 Kids and Counting, has been involved in several scandals over the past 10 years, all of which have led in accusations of child pornography. In 2019, Homeland Security carried out an investigation at Josh's car dealership and found downloads of child sex abuse videos that were linked to Josh's IP address. Josh was later arrested, and in 2021, he was found guilty on child pornography charges. He was sentenced to 12.5 years in prison, which he is currently serving. He must also serve 20 years supervised release, register as a sex offender, and pay $50,000 in fines. Number 8. Jared Fogle. Jared Fogle, a former spokesperson for Subway, has been in prison for more than 7 years now, serving a sentence related to child pornography. In 2015, he was found guilty of possessing child pornography and crossing state lines to pay for sex with minors. The judge sentenced him to more than 15 years in federal prison and was ordered to pay $1.4 million in restitution to 14 victims. Since entering prison, Jared has continued to make headlines. In 2016, he was attacked by a fellow inmate. More recently, he penned a letter from prison, expressing that he had royally screwed up and was selfish and entitled. He'll be eligible for parole in 2029. Number 9. Joe Exotic. Joe Exotic, who starred in the hit Netflix series Tiger King, has been jailed since the start of 2020 as a result of several allegations brought against him. Animal rights activist Carol Baskin had long campaigned for Joe to shut down his traveling shows because he had been accused of abusing animals in his park. As animosity grew between them, Joe posted threats against her online, leading up to an attempted murder. In 2017, he tried to hire 2 hitmen to kill Carol, only to later learn he had actually been talking to an undercover FBI agent. Following the FBI investigation, Joe was arrested. In court, he was found guilty of attempting to hire someone to murder Carol, as well as 9 counts of violating the Endangered Species Act and 8 counts of violations to the Lacey Act for falsifying wildlife records. He is currently serving 22 years in prison, although he has attempted to receive a pardon several times.